The air in the abandoned hospital was a physical presence, thick with the smell of dust, decay, and something else, something metallic and old, like rusted machinery. Ilara's eyes fluttered open to utter darkness, the kind that felt heavy, suffocating. Her last memory was the screech of tires and the shattering of glass. Now, there was only silence, broken by the frantic thumping of her own heart. Pushing herself up from the cold linoleum floor, she fumbled for her phone. The weak beam of light cut through the black, illuminating a long corridor of peeling green paint and doorways gaping like rotten mouths. A sign, hanging crookedly, read, Ward 7. A low, rhythmic sound began to pulse through the walls, a deep bass thrum that vibrated in her teeth. It was distant at first, like an air raid siren heard from miles away, but it was getting closer. Then, the sound twisted, warping into a chaotic symphony of emergency broadcasts, weather warnings, and distorted voices pleading for help. It was a sound designed to induce panic, to scramble thoughts. Siren Head was here. Ilara broke into a run, her sneakers slapping softly against the grimy floor. She ducked into a side room, an old patient's ward, and pressed her back against the wall, trying to quiet her breathing. The siren's cacophony grew deafening, passing right by the doorway. Through the small window in the door, she saw them, impossibly long, rusted metal legs, and high above, the twin speakers that served as its head, blaring a frantic stock market report. It moved on, its purpose unknowable, its presence a violation of nature. A shaky breath of relief escaped her lips. She was safe, for now. But as the siren's wail faded down the hall, a new sound took its place. A soft, whispering breath, like fabric rustling in a silent church. Ilara turned slowly. At the far end of the room, a figure stood in the shadows. Tall, gaunt, with a face of corpse-white skin and eyes burning with an infernal yellow light. It was a nun, but it was all wrong. Its hands were clawed, and its smile was a terrifying, sacrilegious slash. Valak. It simply stared, its gaze pinning her to the spot, a predator that didn't need to chase its prey. It fed on fear. Ilara was trapped between two horrors. One, a creature of sound and scale that roamed the halls. The other, a demon of silence and stillness that was already in the room with her. She had to move. Slipping out the door, she fled in the opposite direction of Siren Head's path. She found a staircase and scrambled downward, into the bowels of the hospital, the morgue. It was a dead end, but it was the only place left to hide. The air was freezing. She crouched behind a metal gurney, pulling her knees to her chest. For a moment, there was only the hum of a dead refrigerator. Then, the whispering breath was right beside her ear. She squeezed her eyes shut, praying it was a trick of her mind. When she opened them, Valak was there, leaning over the gurney, its horrific face inches from hers. Its smile widened. At that exact moment, the morgue doors exploded inward. Siren Head's towering frame filled the doorway, its speakers blaring a deafening mix of a child's laughter and a nuclear alarm. The two ancient evils faced each other, the demon of the sacred and the monster of the signal. Valak's head tilted, its burning eyes shifting from Ilara to the metallic giant. It was a confrontation of domains. Siren Head took a ground-shaking step forward, a blaring police siren challenging the silence. In that split second of distraction, Ilara saw her chance. She scrambled on her hands and knees, slipping between Siren Head's colossal legs and into the hallway. She didn't look back. She ran, fueled by pure adrenaline, following exit signs that seemed like a mirage. Behind her, the sounds of a nightmare collision echoed, the blaring sirens warping with screeching static, and an unearthly, guttural hiss that sounded like blasphemy. She burst through a set of double doors and found herself in a loading bay, the cool night air a blessing on her face. She didn't stop running until she was deep within the safety of the dark woods, the silhouette of the hospital a scar against the moonlit sky. Inside the morgue, the conflict ceased as abruptly as it began. Siren Head, its curiosity spent, turned and stomped away, its sounds fading into the labyrinthine halls. Valak, left alone in the cold room, slowly turned its gaze back to the spot where the girl had been. Its yellow eyes glowed with a faint, patient light. The hunt was not over. It had simply been postponed. The unholy encounter was done, but the nightmare was still very much alive.